قد قررت أن أرد إليكم أمانتكم وأعلن لكم استقالتي من منصب رئيس الوزراء، مفسحا المجال لآخر من بنات أو أبناء هذا الوطن المعطاء. وحتى بعد انقلاب 25 من أكتوبر قمنا بتوقيع اتفاق إطاري مع المكون العسكري في محاولة لإعادة مسار التحول المدني الديمقراطي وحقن الدماء وإطلاق سراح المعتقلين.
Well, for more on this story, let's cross now to our regional correspondent, Caroline Kimeu. Abdalla Hamdok has now stepped down. He hasn't named a successor. Do we have any idea what the future holds now for Sudan?
Right. So things are looking a little bit uncertain in the immediate term, with Prime Minister Hamdok having said during his televised speech that the current situation could escalate into a full-blown crisis if not dealt with expediency. Now, we know that his resignation comes, as you've mentioned, Haxi, just hours after 3 protesters were killed during Sunday protests, and the retaliation against protesters are getting increasingly deadly. We know that there were also allegations of sexual violence against women who've been a great part of the pro-democracy movement in the country. So as things stand, it's very uncertain, and we know that Hamdok has been a major force behind the country's economic reforms that allowed it to secure international debt and financing, as well as getting the country off the terror list. So with all that in jeopardy right now, the country is in a very uncertain situation, both economically and politically.
Now, pro-democracy protests have been, as you mentioned, violently repressed in Sudan in recent months. Are there any signs that this resignation from Hamdok will calm the protest movement in any way?
That's looking unlikely, just because Hamdok is really, his presence within the government was merely symptomatic of the problem for the protesters. The main issue really being the participation within the government of the military, who have a really strong say in the direction of the country as things stand right now. And that is one of the main issues that protesters in the pro-democracy movement have had with both the constitutional declaration of 2019 and the reinstatement deal that Hamdok signed just 6 weeks ago. So as things stand, it looks like one sustainable way to deal with the situation going forward would be to involve Sudanese at the grassroots level, since we've seen they've held, about 14 mass protests since the takeover, and despite the international community welcoming the reinstatement deal, we can see that there's still heavy pushback, and definitely it's not likely that this can be swept under the rug.
Caroline Kimeu, thank you very much.